You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
In case you haven't heard, the Leafs are now clutch. Feeling golden on this Friday, presented by Bet365. It's the Friday edition of Leafs Morning Take. Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. How we feeling, Rosie, on this Friday?
Oh, baby. Couldn't be much better, man. That was a nail biter that meant a lot to more than I thought, to myself, everyone around. To pull that off, man, it was nerve-wracking. I did not want to win that. Like, I would have been devastated if we lost. And geez, it was storybook, man. I can't believe how well run and played that tournament was. It exceeded literally everyone's expectations that I think you could possibly find.
I'll be blunt and honest. I'm playing injured today. I went after it last night. You just have to.
Okay.
The folks at Greta threw a great watch party, and then after, I did rip it on King Street West. So I'm playing injured, but feeling great, man. I will gladly do this show like this because it's just so great to be Canadian. And what a victory, man. Just to beat the Americans, how cocky they were after winning a fucking round robin game. Love it. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, all in uppercase today. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. Give us a lay of the land. Where'd you watch the game last night?
I was in my basement, had a couple buddies come over. And yeah, I must have watched an hour of pregame and was hitting the Twitter machine and then just sat and watched. And my wife and son were behind me for a while and popping in. Everyone was kind of like, ooh. And to get down to overtime, I mean, you expected it to be a pretty good game. I don't think you could have played that without it being a pretty good game. But I mean, storybook, like a repeat of 2010 with Sid and, a symbolic passing of the torch. And of course, It's McDavid on his stick who just buries it in the big celly. And I mean, I don't think the NHL could have written a better script or designed it better. And, like I said, everyone was wondering what this tournament was going to be and will they try? And I think we're dumb to have thought that because the All-Star game, whatever, man, but you put that jersey on, it doesn't matter what the tournament is. Are you wearing that jersey and is everyone watching you representing Canada? Then it doesn't matter if you're playing street hockey. Those guys care, and it showed up in spades for this tournament. I was elated when he buried that, man, because we weren't burying our chances for a lot of the game. Binner was bailing them out for a lot of the game, and it could have gone either way. And I found myself terrified that we were going to lose and just jacked beyond all could be when they buried that one.
Yeah, that was exactly what I thought when McDavid scores. I'm like, of course it's McDavid. Like, this is 2010 all over again. Like, not the same scale. That's the Olympics. This is the Four Nations face-off. But just the symbolic passing of the torch from Crosby, who had a great tournament, to McDavid. This is why this guy is the best player on the planet. If you recall, in 2010, Crosby was the best player on the planet. They just have the knack for the dramatics, that ability to score that big-time goal. And I still have goosebumps just thinking about the play that led to the goal. And, I got to say right now, Mitch Marner, I thought that was his best game I've seen him play in a long, long time, man. Like, I thought he was all over it. He simplified his game, dude. He just played simple hockey, and he made some really good plays. He could have had 3 or 4 points in the game, ends up with 2 apples, but a great dish to McDavid in the slot. And I know there's a certain captain of Team USA and the Leafs taking some heat today, but I thought he was great too. I thought Matthews was awesome for the States. Like, that is the best case scenario. We joked about it yesterday, but that both Leafs players play well and Canada wins, and that's exactly what happened in my opinion.
Yeah, that's it. And I didn't think that either of them stood out too much throughout the round robin. We voiced that. We were hard on them and challenged them, and like you said, hope to hell that they pulled out some kind of a performance when it mattered on the big stage. And that was a big stage. Like, you'd mentioned that, well, this isn't quite like the Olympics or anything. Well, no, the whole program isn't, but the excitement around the game, what it meant to people, the intensity level, that's Olympics and then some. I mean, you can't think of another game that meant that unless you go back to like 2010, and that includes some Olympics in there. Like, again, it doesn't really matter what the background setup and structure is, you're playing best on best with your jerseys. That's all you need. And I think the Four Nations face-off proved that. And guys like Mitchie and Austin, they came up big yesterday. They were in the play, they were in the fight, they were contributing, they were coming wave on wave. It wasn't like you just noticed them kind of try something that didn't work and then scroll off and try again later. Like that's kind of what is that? Like that's not going to win you anything. And they were the opposite of that. They were everywhere. Both of them played well. Both of them in on 2 big goals and producing. And it was great to see because that was a huge stage. Everyone was watching. And great to see the Leafs boys kind of contribute when you just got so much talent around you. It's probably pretty hard to stand out. And I don't think they did a good job of that throughout the round robin, but both of them big time last night. Great to see for Leafs fans.
And even in talking to producer Vic and Zach Phillips, who were both at Greta last night, it was a different Marner in that game. Like he wanted the puck, man. He was craving the puck. And it's like, where has this guy been? And dare I say he's turned the corner, but again, we give credit when it's due. I thought he was all over it. Like just even the pass to McDavid, he got the promotion. John Cooper was all about him. Like rightfully so, he got the promotion last night too.
Yeah, and I mean that dish to Bennett was, you're coming in there on a, not even on an odd man rush, and you just make something out of nothing. And he is a playmaker that made plays. And like you say, he just seemed to have his head down and his ass up, and he was sniffing out pucks, and he was just coming again, wave on wave, just trying plays until something cracks. And that's just he usually just kind of he just pulls up a little bit and just kind of skirts the edges. And did you think that was going to work, Mitch? And God, like where can you have a couple shifts here? And that kind of is what we've come to know in the big time moments, and the stuff he tries isn't really going to stand out at all, and we're kind of rolling our eyes. And that was the opposite last night. Like you said, dogging pucks, skating after it. Didn't matter if it was in the corner, on the half wall, or penetrating the middle, or he was just there, man. And it was great to see chipping in on that stage where there's so many guys around you that could kind of take that role. He was one that stood to the top, and Austin with some nice plays as well. And you noticed him a lot too. I still have questions about his shot. Like, is he hurt? It's going to be interesting to see these guys post Four Nations here on what kind of energy and gas they have in the tank, because I imagine that took a lot out of the boys.
Regardless, feeling great as a Canadian today. The first ever TLN Nation vacation, as you know, Rosie, just around the corner. We're headed to Nashville Thursday, March 20th through Sunday, March 23rd. In addition to supplying your ticket to the Toronto-Nashville game on the Saturday night, we'll be hosting a live podcast for all of you. I Love an Exile Winery and Bar in East Nashville. A winery tour is part of the experience as well. We're offering 2 packages, one with flights, $24.50 plus tax, one without, $12.99 plus tax. Hotel rooms are double occupancy. For more information on how to book, head on over to nationgear.ca. That's nationgear.ca. Or check out the link in our show bio. Life's too short for ordinary vacations. Looking forward to that trip, Rosie. I can't wait.
I know it's creeping up on us now too. We're checking things off the list here. Four Nations done and in the bag. Next up, Four Nations, man. It's sooner than later. I can't wait to get down there. It's going to be gorgeous.
We got the trade deadline coming now. It's 2 weeks today, if you can believe it. A bit of a promo coming up on that later on. And we got another mega guest today. We've been tracking this man for a long, long time. An absolute legend here in Leafs Nation. Darryl Sittler is going to drop by in about 20 minutes here, Rosie.
Yes, looking forward to that. A literal walking, talking legend in general, but especially in Leafs Nation. So pretty excited for that. He's got a lot of international experience, knows what it's all about. It'd be fun to pick his brain, and I imagine he's in a good mood after that Canadian W last night.
At the Leafs Nation 4-1 here on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com as the official sub of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Check out Firehouse Subs for a limited edition souvenir cup that is perfect for game day celebrations. By the way, have you seen the commercial we put together yet?
No, have you?
I watched it last night.
Is it awful?
Folks, so we've been teasing this. Rosie and I filmed in separate locations a commercial for Firehouse Subs. Just wait till you see this, man. Just your acting is just unbelievable. You mowing that sub, I love it.
I can't wait to see this. I have no idea how it's gonna look. I'm excited for that one. Yeah, our acting chops. I don't know. I mean, there might be a first and last commercial we get asked to
Dude,
do.
we're going to get credits on IMDb for this commercial. Watch out for
Love
it.
it.
Available in select restaurants across Ontario. Fans can collect this team-inspired souvenir cup, which you see behind me right now in my shot, with the purchase of any sub combo while supplies last. Be sure to check out the brisket hat trick, the sandwich I had. It's a Canada-exclusive menu item. This hot and hearty sub is piled high with smoked turkey breast, Virginia honey ham, and beef brisket. It is topped off with sweet and tangy slaw, barbecue sauce, and mayo, and served on a toasted sub roll. Head to your local Firehouse Subs to grab your limited edition Toronto Maple Leafs souvenir cup today.
Yum. Can we talk about these
Yes.
Americans?
Yes, go for it, bud.
Like the whole time, I mean, Canadians are kind of walking on eggshells because it's so close, and we're like, geez, are we giving up? Are we passing the torch? Are they coming to take it? Like World Juniors and what's happened in the past, we haven't had best on best. You're looking at all some of the best of the world winning the NHL trophies and whatnot. A lot of them are American. You look at their team, oh my God, as soon as they announce the rosters, Hellebuck and whatnot, you look at Canadians' deficiencies, like in net, we just don't stack up with their goaltenders. And is this the time that we kind of give it up? And clear as day to the Americans, they thought that was a foregone conclusion. The way they were talking, the way they were acting, their body language, their celebrations, their actions just screamed, this is over. We're going to win. They thought they had won it. They just assumed they were going to win. I don't think it crossed their mind one time in that locker room that they weren't going to win. And I don't mean that in like a belief way. I think they thought that it was a foregone conclusion. And like, yeah, the problem with doing that is you don't know how sport's going to go. And when you act like that, you must feel like such an idiot. I always attribute to the guys wearing stupid shit into the game with their goofy clothes and dressing up like donkeys, no matter what sport it is. You walk into a big game dressed like an idiot, and everyone's like, "Oh, look what so and so wore," and then you lose, and you got to walk out of the place looking like that. I always go, "Why would you put yourself in that position?" But I just feel like the Americans were too bloody cocky. You look at, led by Brady Tkachuk and the Tkachuk brothers, like I love those guys, the way they play. I would love them to have them on my side, but I can't help but think you guys thought you had this in the bag, and you must just be shocked right now. And that was pretty evident across Twitter. They were the cockiest things you could ever imagine last Saturday, and then pretty quiet on the home front last night, unless they had some bullshit excuse on how we're even and stuff like that, as if that's how it works. Too funny. I couldn't help but notice, man, you Americans got caught being a little cocky in that one, I would have to say.
They did, and I do feel like this country deserves to give the goaltender Jordan Binnington an apology because I thought he was really good. The goals weren't crazy about them, but like, man, just the timeliness of the saves, and find me somebody who's better at winning games in Boston. Like, this is another one. Imagine Binnington and the Leafs. They'd win every year, I think.
He was good, man. I mean, he has played great the whole tournament. It's just that one squeaker, that one kind of one that he wants back. And I mean, there's a lot of goaltenders that are that way, but the difference between that and the guy that doesn't let that squeaker go is just it's heads and shoulders. And he outplayed Hellebuck on the other side. Like if you were to switch the goals, like that first one, I know he couldn't see it, but I mean, nothing you could put on Binnington's shoulders. They were peppering him, a couple of big ones in overtime, one on Austin Matthews too. He was just all through the game, made some big saves when they put the hammer down. They're a very talented team. He stood on his head and just did everything you could have asked. It was the difference maker. I said that before the game. I said it's going to come down to Binnington. Either he plays phenomenal or he lets in one squeaker, and that'll be the difference. And I just hope to hell that it wasn't one kind of a squeaker like game one that you wanted back and don't get the chance to have it. And he just stood on his head and performed, man. What a clutch performer. He's done it before and he came through and it was big. That was without a doubt the difference maker.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button at the Leafs Nation 401. Again, Darryl Sittler coming up in about 15 minutes here. Connor McDavid wins it in OT. We talked about it a bit earlier, the passing of the torch moment. I think there was a variety of guys who could have won tourney MVP. I know 12 broadcasters were part of the committee that voted on this award. I think the tournament was so small, but honestly, I think I would go to Bennington. I thought like it's the sample size is so small and the magnitude of some of the saves that Binnington made in the tournament. I think he deserves a lot of props, but it's Nathan MacKinnon who again kicks off the scoring for Canada. Like I wasn't shocked to see that score sheet and watch the game and figure out who the best players were for Canada. I thought Crosby was really quiet, by the way, but I thought McKinnon was good, McDavid was good, Marner was good. And, going back to the initial conversation, if you were to do like a list of top 5 players overall in the game, I think Matthews and Marner are on that list for me.
Top 5 in the game, Matthews and Marner both on the list.
Last night. No, last night. The game last night.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. I thought you were talking about in general. I was like,
Oh, no,
Nicky
no.
boy, I liked it. Wow.
No.
I think they got some to prove before that, but I think the reason we're even talking about it is because the potential is there for them to be some of the greatest in the world. What's missing on their resume? The things that the other guys have done already. And as Leafs podcast and fans, I think we want that to happen as much as ever. The frustration that is built in our guts has been because of them falling short in the past, but nobody knows what the future holds. And I believe that this, at least that specific game, was a nice little stepping stone for them to say, hey, we can show up when it matters. We can be the guys that leap off the page when there's a lot on the line and there's a lot of good hockey being played. Great to see, no doubt. But yeah, Binnington, you could give it to him. McKinnon easily. Crosby, I thought he might be the guy that just, pops back door and buries the big one. And it wouldn't have surprised me one little bit if that did happen, even though he had a little bit of a quieter night. But I mean, I don't think you can, just imagine against Team Finland, they allow a comeback. They get to within 1, and there's like a minute 30 left, and they are, how that works when they pull their goalie. It's just shot, buzzing. The shocked look on their face when they may have tied that up. It could have happened, and then you don't even get to the finals. Like the disaster that would be. Who makes sure that doesn't happen? Open ice, big body check, sound frame of mind to gather the puck and just rip it without even looking into the empty netter and squashing that potential outcome. The leader of Canada, and that's Sidney Crosby. But that's what you expect out of those best on best, those big boys. You get to see them all at the same time and see who rises to the top. And it was nice that our Leaf guys had a part of that as well. And not everyone could win, so Austin gets the short end of the stick, and his record in those big games in Boston and whatnot isn't awesome. But I think that experience for him will be pretty valuable.
It's really unfortunate too that it was sort of a missed assignment. I had a couple people reach out as soon as the goal went in that it was Matthews' guy in the slot, and I think if there's one guy you should cover, it's probably Connor McDavid. But
well, he's the best in the world. Everyone
yeah,
that plays against him, how many points does he have? That's because every time someone wasn't on him, and you can't
true.
cover him all the time. And yeah, that was a little bit open on Austin's side. You could say, as a centerman, you could have been down in the corner there, helping out his wingers or his D-man. That weak side winger could have been over there. I believe that was Brock Nelson. He was kind of covering his point. Things happen fast. You can't be everywhere all the time. And I don't know. I heard that too, and I know that some people are pointing at Austin for losing his man there, but it's Austin Matthews, or sorry, it's what's the guy's name, Connor McDavid, and he's going to be places where he knows to go, where other people aren't, and it just is what it is, man. He chipped in on 2 big goals there. Austin was a part of the process. I think he could have buried one too. Again, I don't think he's got the shot. I think something's up with his shooting and with his body, and we'll see here down the stretch how much how much health he has going on right now, because I think that tournament took a lot more out of the boys than people were anticipating, and we'll see what it does to some of those players down the stretch.
Well, I was gonna say, just 2 short weeks ago, you and I were teeing up this tournament, and granted, we were excited, but I don't think ever in our wildest dreams we could have sat there and been like, man, these guys are going to put their bodies on the line. Like Matthew Tkachuk barely played last night, so dinged up. Brady Tkachuk banged up, like up and down the list of injured players in this tournament, who I think are still going to feel the after effects of the first game on Saturday, Canada-US, for like weeks. I mean, it's just tremendous to me how far we've come in such a short time. But that was my favorite aspect of the tournament. Every game felt like Game 7, even the round robin games.
Yeah, the very first one, I think they set the tone, with Sid to McKinnon on that power play, like just to start off, boom, just this electric play of dominance. And oh my God, what are we watching here? And, the excitement that the players had, they really drove this whole thing of making this tournament what it was, with their effort level and with their emotion and excitement they put into it. It made us watching going, oh my God, this is huge. This is amazing to see. Who is going to win? What does this mean? Are the Americans going to take this? Do they think they're the supremacy of hockey now. Like, holy shit, they have 340 million people down there. We have less than 40. Like, how could we keep up? And look how good they are in their programs, and they're dominating. And look at the Chuck brothers, and now they're the physical group. It was just reason to just keep getting built and built and built. And of course, the table got set with Canada, America, with everything on the line. It was phenomenal, man. And again, hats off to the players for making it that way. It was 100% in their court as far as what they made that tournament into. And it was what it was because of them.
Rosie, we've got to figure out what the hell is going on in North America with these damn anthems. Like, I was so horned up. They bring out Chantal Kreviazuk, and then it's like she's never sung the "O Canada." Like, she's Canadian. Like, I don't know if it was the magnitude, the moment, it got in her head, but like I love when these people get out there and they start singing a different song that nobody knows. Like, am I lost here?
Well, she changed a couple words to say like we're in control of ourselves. Like, she changed a couple words to being like, you can't. I can't remember what freaking lyric it was. Anyway, she
Dude,
changed
like,
a couple of them.
sing the fucking song and get off.
My
That's all I
thing,
want.
it's an easy formula to do a good anthem. Do it loud, do it proud, have a quick tempo to it, and don't big brain it. Just hammer it with some passion, excitement. Wham! Bring it home at the end. Done. Don't drag it out don't try to be like your 15 minutes of fame. You're going to drag it out longer. Everyone's like, fuck it. It's just the songs that are anthems, they're designed to be bam, bam, bam with some tempo. Let's go. Not drug out and octave here and an octave there. Like, stop. No one can even pay attention. Everyone just sits and waits for your little weird rendition to be over. Hammer it home quick, do it loud and proud, and everyone will be sitting there clapping on their feet saying that was a good one. But people miss the mark about 90% of the time. It's wild lately. I love it.
It just makes no sense. Like, just get somebody who can sing an anthem. You're so right. Just sing the anthem and get off. There doesn't has to every time somebody feels the need to put their spin on the song. Like, it's been the same song for a billion years at this point.
Yeah, simpler is better, man. It's a good song for a reason. Hammer it out quick and to the point, and do it with some passion and some bravado, and that'll make a good anthem. I don't know. They always try to big brain it, and it never seems to work.
Chris S writes in, guys, she was protesting. Okay.
Yes.
Paul D, she butchered the anthem. Yes, I would agree with that sentiment. She was protesting. Yeah.
Okay, protest away. I don't really care about it. It just makes me laugh when they butcher it. Other than that, I move on and focus on the hockey. But we have
Yes.
had a lot of suspect anthems this year, it feels like.
Oh man, this is not just an O Canada thing. Like, league wide, they can't find people who can actually sing these songs, who know the lyrics. Like, just study it before you get on the ice. It's like they have a brain fart and they're like, I can't remember the lyrics, and let's change this and that. I don't know. That
Well,
was my
Chantel
takeaway
did it
from
on
last night's game.
purpose. She did it
Pardon
on
me?
purpose. She did it on purpose, changing the words, but the way that the execution of it was kind of ugly. I think that's just becoming a theme with anthems when people are paying attention, especially with the cultural tension when people are booing. By the way, the Americans booed like crazy our anthem, which you would expect them to do. I don't know. I stayed away from the political stuff in this because like
Yeah,
it's just so divided now that if you even like if you like Wayne Gretzky anymore, you're a MAGA. Like, what the hell are you guys
it's
that
wild.
limited mentally that you can't differentiate between different specifics and nuances of things? Like, one guy likes someone that you don't like, therefore his entire career and character and legacy are tarnished now. Like, use your head, you guys. Use your head. It's not that black and white. There's a ton of nuances. There's a ton of details to this. You don't have to like burn the whole thing to the ground because you don't like someone, or you you used to like someone who now likes someone you don't like. This isn't kindergarten. I couldn't stand that shit. Like, it's so cut and dry for people. They are so tribal with their thoughts that if one person steps outside of this little imaginary boundary that you've made in your own mind, they're done. They're done, and everyone else has to agree with the fact that they're done. If they don't agree with you, you're done with them too. It's just a pathetic way to think, and not anything that leads to anything positive. So I stayed away from that stuff, and it was annoying to see, especially when you're bringing a guy like Gretzky into it. Like, give your head a shake. But that aside, anthems and stuff, I could care less. The hockey was fantastic. I'm in the right side one.
Yeah, I got heat last night for telling somebody who used to run this country to delete their account. It wasn't about me. Like, people are calling me a traitor and this and that. It wasn't a political tweet. I just thought it was cringe. Like,
Well, the
I
guy's a
don't know.
loser, so yeah. I
Nah,
mean,
it was just a cringe thing, and I don't know, just it's so interesting now in this day, in this economy, man. You don't know what's gonna happen. Whatever you say, I could be like Mitch Marner should be an all-star, and I'll have 38 people come at me and be like, no, he shouldn't. Like there's gonna be another side to everything. But I just thought that was kind of quirky last night, is the whole
Yeah,
anthem situation. That's it.
lots of tensions, lots of heat, and that is part of what made it great. I
It
honestly,
was. Yeah.
if Trump wasn't president and the tariffs didn't happen and the 51st state and all that crap didn't happen, and even if Trudeau wasn't what he's been the last X amount of time, just hockey. The Americans have been coming up on our heels, nipping at them. We have fallen off a little bit with the World Juniors, which is kind of the only measuring stick we really get
Mhm.
because we haven't had this best on best. And we didn't know who was who. And then we play this tournament. It's like, holy shit, we haven't seen this in how long? How many years? And then the Americans beat us in the round robin, and they're super cocky and they're playing a certain brand of hockey that we were kind of famous for. And they have these leaders that, you know, set something up where it just had fireworks right off the go to set the table for, you know, a statement game for them. And then we're kind of crunching the numbers going, holy shit, like are we able to compete with them anymore? Has this moved on? Like, I know our goaltender, like, and it was scary. And then, but I mean, the cream rose to the top. The big
Yeah.
boys stepped up better than theirs did. They kind of fell off the map a little bit. They didn't have anyone come up and steal it. And we had performances from Sid and from McKinnon and from Binnington that, and Makar was just dominant. Like
Oh,
it
so
was
good.
it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
bloody awesome. And it kind of squashed that for another year. And yeah, we're going into the Olympics, but I think that in the Olympics, with the way it's reffed internationally and uh, Olympic size ice, I believe is what they're going to play on. Some people on Twitter said it's NHL size ice this year. I don't know. Maybe something's going on with the rinks over there. I thought automatically it would be Olympic size ice, but I think that favors the Canadians. You give those guys a little more time, a little more space. You can't run around. NHL refs. That was a war, a battle. That was playoff hockey. I think that favored the Americans, and they still didn't win. So just so elated that the narrative isn't what it could have been after that tournament, which is Canada really down in the dumps. Instead, they're standing high on a pedestal, which is, I think, where they belong. It feels awesome.
I think it shows your age. I can't remember the last time they played with Olympic ice.
Really?
Well, 2010 was in Vancouver. Where was 2014? Russia,
Mm,
I think.
Sochi, I think.
It was regular ice. Like,
There
this
you
is a
go.
long ass time ago.
Man, maybe that's right. Maybe they don't play on Olympic ice. I think that would benefit the Canadians, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it won't be over there in Italy. Maybe those guys are right. I haven't done that research. I don't know how to find that, but nonetheless, it's not going to be that style of hockey where you like they didn't call anything that tournament. It was
Oh,
phenomenal. It was
man.
like one
Yeah.
power play per game, which was refreshing as hell. They could battle. They let them decide it for themselves. Some guy wanted to go and give a bunch of little shots. You saw all the little cross checks and face washes and jabs that the Chucks were given, trying to get under guys' skin. It's fun to watch that stuff. It's fun to play that stuff, and it just breeds intensity and boiling of emotions. And I think that had a lot to do with this tournament being great. And I don't know who told what to the refs, or if they just understood the assignment. But why can't you ref like that in the regular season?
It's going to be tough for me. It's going to be tough for me to change to watch Leafs games now that I just watched that level, like best on best. Like I thought the caliber was out of this world, Rosie.
It was. I mean, everything about the hockey was phenomenal. The intensity level, the skill level, the way they're allowed to play, the way they're allowed to dictate it themselves, like who was trying to step up, what you could clearly see it meant to the players. That stuff's not always apparent in this stuff, especially something that's kind of contrived and they manufactured this tournament. People right off the bat said, "Oh, here the NHL goes trying to force something into a bottle," and it. I think people had their reservations about what it's going to be like, and it takes place at the All-Star game, so people equate it to the All-Star game. We all know what that intensity level's like, and man, I think everyone had it wrong, and this thing just exceeded expectations. And it, again, hats off to the players for making it such.
In support of Sick Kids, KPG, our main man, Sensei Super Chat. Appreciate this. Hey guys, Boston was epic. Just woke up after a full day and night of partying with Americans and Canadians. What a tourney. I love hearing that, Rosie. I love it.
No kidding. I really do.
A lot of Canadians in that building. Like I wondered what it was going to look like, what it was going to sound like in Boston at the TD Garden, but we travel well, I guess.
Yeah, especially with, the weather going on, the airplane problems going on, Pearson Airport being a mess, which is a hub for anyone trying to get down there. You'd think it would be very difficult to get, but as the building started to fill, there's some reports going on. There's a lot of red in that lower bowl, and there really was, man. It was nicely split. It did not seem like TD Garden was just rocking the roof off that place with American pride. It was a lot more split, and it didn't seem like that was as much of a factor as I thought it might be.
Dude, could I just put it out there? Seth Jarvis's buddies, like, I want to booze with those guys. Like,
Oh my
absolute beauticians. What a story. Their flight gets canceled, so they drive like 30 hours from like Winnipeg to Boston to be there for their buddy. Like, how cool is that? And they looked exactly how I thought Seth Jarvis's buddies would look from Winnipeg. I love that.
Yeah, a bunch of Manitoban beauties, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, why
baby.
not? I mean, they're talking about supporting their buddy. That is a big commitment. You're jumping on a plane is one thing, and good for them for doing it. But to drive there around the Great, I've done that drive. Holy smokes, it's a haul. And I've done it in like the spring and early fall for the seasons, and they're doing it in the dead of winter. I imagine some cases of beer were consumed on that drive, which I imagine is some memories for a lifetime for those boys, and good for them supporting their buddy.
Man, that's so sick. John Gallagher writes in, does Sid have one last run at the Olympics? Of course he does. Should mention as well, again, full circle of the conversation, Mitch Marner, we thought was awesome last night. Not to speak for you. I thought he was great and just really drove play, really craved the puck. You love to see that. Ditto for Austin Matthews. I know he's getting some heat from, stateside today because of the blown coverage on the McDavid goal. McDavid is McDavid, as you perfectly illustrated earlier on. And to me, that's a huge positive as we get set for the weekend and the Leafs back in action here with a back-to-back Carolina Saturday and visiting Chicago on Sunday.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested to see, like, people are like, are they going to play on Saturday? Like, that is a quick turnaround. There's no doubt about it. I just can't help but think of the optics. Like, I don't mind taking a break down the road, but like right away being like, nah, I'm not playing in the one that matters with points going towards, the standings for the Stanley Cup playoffs, not playing in that because you played in this exhibition. It's kind of a tough look. I hope they play both of them, and then they can really start to get their rest in the week when, pulling out of practice and whatnot. But it would be kind of bad optically, even though it would be understandable if they didn't play. But I don't know. If someone sits, I kind of feel like it might be Austin feeling a little down, and I just cannot help but feel like he has got some kind of an alien injury going on. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
think that way, and we'll see. I guess time will tell how banged up these guys are and what they have left in the tank and what their schedule is going to be moving forward.
The following interview is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece Program and an unbeatable pricing policy. Charm Diamond Centers is proudly Canadian-owned and operated since 1972 with more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. As we bring in today's guest, feeling great, feeling awesome on this Friday, it is Darryl Sittler. How's it going, Darryl?
It's awesome. I'm down in sunny Florida. Just got back from a bike ride.
Unbelievable. Great to have you on. What did you make of last night's game? The Canadians taking home the championship there.
Well, I was like everybody, obviously zeroed in for it. A lot of emotion, not only in the building, but in the country because of this whole Trump situation. The politics it rose to another level. Having the opportunity to play for Team Canada, the best players. And, back then there were 6 teams in that, but it reminded me, not in as much way, but Czechs and Russian were communists back then. And there was a lot of emotion because of the political situation. And I think that raised the level to the interest of this tournament. And I'm glad Canada won.
So, Mr. Sittler, what was your initial thoughts of this tournament when it got announced, and what were your expectations after you were able to?
I lost the sound there.
Sorry, what was your initial reaction to the tournament when they announced it? Did you think it was going to be that high of level? And then after seeing it, did it surprise you what that tournament became?
I definitely didn't, like a lot of people, know what to expect. Games every year, and we watch those, and sometimes you get a little disappointed because the guys aren't putting out. But the fact that everybody took it really serious, and these opportunities don't come around very often, and I think the players realize that. And we've got the Olympics coming up next year, so it just raised the level of the whole political side. I think Canada, US, couldn't have been a better outcome or a better final for hockey, especially North America, for the National Hockey League. So I think all of us were really pleased with it and maybe surprised somewhat.
Did it feel to you like it was like a torch passing moment from like Crosby to McDavid? And we thought it was only fitting that McDavid scores the winner the way he does.
I mean, and when you watch those games, you're looking for their stars to come up big in the big moment. And like McDavid said at the end of the game, he didn't think he had a really good game, but there's not a lot of room to move out there, and you don't have the puck as much as you might have in your regular game. So the fact that he was the guy to score the goals to keep Canada not only to tie it up, but to set McDavid up. I mean, that's what those players are supposed to do in those critical moments, and it's nice that McDavid did it.
Do you think that playing that intensive hockey mid-season is a good precursor for the playoffs? I mean, that was as intense as you could imagine for hockey, and you think that's good specifically for those Maple Leaf players to get that type of feeling during the season?
Well, I think anytime you have those experiences, you gain something from that. I mean, I think all of us are concerned on any team on if you lose a star player, and some guys did get hurt in that tournament and might not. At in the middle of the season, but it is what it is, and I think everybody's ready to take the risk and bite the bullet and just go for it, and that's what makes it the game it is. I think the other thing for the players, I don't know, but you take one All-Star game, that's one game. I don't know whether there's 5 or 6, 7 games played in this series, and I think there's a revenue splitting thing, and I think that always adds to that the players feel that they're not taken advantage of. They're in it, all in it, and they play all out for it.
Our apologies, Darryl. Can you just try to reconnect because it's going in and out? So if you can just jump back out and jump back in, we'd appreciate that, and we'll get you back on in a sec. Okay.
Okay, hang on.
Thank you. So we're in conversation here with Darryl Sittler talking about the Canadian victory last night. The Leafs getting set for a back-to-back this weekend as well, playing Carolina and Chicago. But no doubt, Rosie, in my world, like that's just a big moment for Mitch Marner. Just on that type of stage to play that type of game, that I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, we want to give him his flowers when he deserves it. And he deserved it last night. Like, he was leaping off the page. His effort level was there. He had some, it's not like it's not like gritty, like hammering guys and being Matthew Tkachuk out there or Brady, but it's gritty as in like just being willing to take that extra 2 strides to get that puck, even though you might have to take a little bit of a hit. Don't be afraid of whether it's crossing the blue line or in the corners or in front of the net. It didn't really matter. He wanted it. And at other times it feels like it comes to Mitch and then he's kind of hoping or a little bit hesitant or not totally sure what to do when the pressure's on, and it kind of leaps off the screen to you, and it just wasn't there last night. And my hats are off to Marner. We challenged him. We didn't think he was playing well enough. We thought he got demoted for a reason. And we challenge him on this show as guys that, cover the Maple Leafs every day and wonder what level this guy's at and what you're supposed to commit to him. And I promise you, I'd rather do shows like this where we're giving him his flowers and taking our hats off to them than when you're ripping them and expecting more. It feels amazing to have your guys show up when they need to.
I believe we have Darryl back in the mix. If you just want to piggyback, we were just talking about it potentially being a turning point moment for guys like Marner and Matthews, who we thought were great last night.
Yeah, they were great. Obviously, both of them have taken a lot of criticism over the last couple of years because of us not. They're in the prime of their careers. This experience certainly will add to it, but it's a fine line. I mean, that game could have gone the other way. Austin could have scored the winning goal. He had some great chances that didn't go in, and that would have been a monumental moment for him. But it doesn't happen. Experience is great, and anytime you have the opportunity to play against the best players in the world and play on a team that with the best players in your country, you never forget those moments, and it's an honor to be able to do it. And both of those guys will carry.
Did this tournament remind you a bit of the Canada Cup that was once played? There seemed to be some similarities. Did you notice that at all, taking part in that? I think it was 1976. You were part of that team.
Well, it's a long time ago. That's 50 years coming up next. The emotion that's in the building, the fact that you go to training camp, there's no guarantees you're going to be, on the team, so to speak. I guess it's a little different with this team, but we had 10 guys get cut from a team like that. And then when you get there, So you just do whatever you can to do it. I was fortunate to make the team and then score a goal. I mean, that was unfortunate. I'd never been on a Stanley Cup team, but to be a part of that team. And I look back, I think there's 18 guys that have gone on to be is no different. You look back at this team and you say how many guys have entered the Hall of Fame after their careers are over. So you're with the best and you play amongst the best. And like I said earlier, the emotion in the building was much higher and in the country much higher because of this whole political thing, U.S. Canada stuff.
Yeah, it was wild. And, there's always talk about what it takes to win in Toronto. As someone who was a star here, what do you think this group needs to do to get to that next level?
Well, I mean, we have a really good hockey. Obviously, they've changed somewhat of the chemistry this year, playing with a little bit more grit. A new coach brings a new dimension to the game, so to speak. I like what we've seen so far. But in the end, when it comes right down to it, no different than last night, your goaltender will make the difference. Last night, he made the right saves at the right time to give Canada a chance to win. And in playoffs, especially when you go to 7-game series, which we have a couple times over the last couple of years, it's a break here or there that make a difference. So we're right there. I like our team. We're obviously reminded me a little bit of that in this series. You know how the U.S. came out in the first game against Canada, but that against, and you got to play through that, and that's the only way you're going to win. And as we all know, the NHL. And it's that type of player who is really strong mentally, and you get a few breaks and you're healthy and your goaltender stands ahead and wins a few games for you. So we're there. I mean, we just have to get a few breaks and again have those hockey working.
No doubt. And we're looking forward to this stretch drive. Really appreciate your time today. Hope you're having a great time in Florida, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you guys get back to Toronto.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Take care. That is Darryl Sittler. What an absolute gem. That was so fun and great. And it's always great to get the opinion of somebody who's lived it, a star. But we did have a couple technical hiccups, so I've never experienced that before in my life, so I don't know what was going on.
Usually with a bad internet connection, it gets choppy or something. That was crystal clear and then just popping in and out. Oh man, that's what's frustrating about this, is getting someone like that and wanting to hear their clear and concise thoughts on something that's important, and it happens. Noon's Law. I guess it couldn't have been the perfect show, but we appreciate the time for Darryl for taking it and coming on the show, telling us a little bit. I hope we got some good content we can cut up and share with some people.
Didn't.
But
No.
An absolute Leafs legend.
We didn't get anything we can cut. Sir Bob Laws writes in 75% of Sittler is better than nothing. That is fair.
Thanks,
That
dude.
is fair.
Appreciate it. We're trying over here.
Yeah, I mean,
that
it is what it is. Again, it just sucks because I've been chasing him for 3 years. We get him. And he was so eager to talk today too, man. Just coming off a Canada win. We'll try again sometime soon, though.
Way she goes. We've
Yeah.
had a hell of a string of guests here in this past week,
Yeah.
and all culminated to a pretty special day. And today with the Canadians win, I guess some hiccups technically. Don't have to ruin that, but thanks again to Mr. Sittler.
Jonathan Stewart, thank you so much for the super chat and support of Sick Kids. Sittler understood the importance of the politics. There you go.
Yeah, well, it was I like that stuff. I think it's fiery, and
Yeah.
it makes people more patriotic than they would be otherwise. And again, I don't like how hard people go with the firm line and having to tear everything down that isn't along with their opinion. That drives me friggin' bananas.
Yeah.
But I do like it when people think back to, why do I like my country and why do I feel patriotic and why do I want this team to win? And when it culminates in sport the way it did last night, there's nothing better than when it's hockey and it's Canada. And it used to kind of be Russia, and absolutely in our day now in this era, it is the United States of America that is our foe in sport and in hockey. And we're very closely matched, as you can tell by this tournament. Very pleased to come out on top, man. And like Sittler said, it easily could have gone the other way. Like Canada, like one little hiccup and you don't even get into the finals. One stop here, one goal. If Austin raised that one in overtime a little more over the blocker, we're singing a different tune. That is literally how close the margins are here with these two teams being at where they're at.
Definitely. Very well said. Had a great time at Greta Bar last night too, and presented by Fountain Tire. We're doing it again. Join us for Flight Night, Saturday, March 8th at Greta Bar YYZ as we host a watch party for Toronto and Colorado. As part of Flight Night, one lucky winner and guest of their choice will win a spot in the first ever TLN Nation vacation to Nashville, happening March 20th to 23rd. To be eligible, all you need to do is purchase a $10 ticket for this event at nationgear.ca. That's nationgear.ca, and you will automatically be entered into the raffle draw. On top of that, you can buy additional raffle tickets for the draw for $20 a pop in support of One Broken Biker. Again, general admission, $10. Also offering a VIP package if you want, which includes a Greta Burger beverage and a game card. So the Maple Leafs back on ice here. Here we go, Rosie. Saturday night, hosting the Carolina Hurricanes. They're going to be there at Scotiabank Arena. Then visiting Chicago on Sunday. What do you expect for this Leafs team out of the break?
Good question, dude. It feels like it's going to be kind of almost hard to get up for it. I know the players that weren't playing are probably well rested, but they're going to have to get their legs going and get their heads back in competition mode. And for the three guys that were part of that, especially obviously Mitch and Austin, I imagine they're going to be a little drained. I mean, that this part of the season drains you as it is, let alone throwing in the emotions of that tournament and the physicality and the energy exerted to get those guys to what they did this week. It's going to be tough, and I'm curious to see the schedule, if it's going to be any different for those two players than anyone else, and if they'll take heat for that or what the story is. But we will see. But I think there definitely needs to be a mental adjustment happen from everybody in the organization to get this train back on the tracks here. Like you said, 2 weeks till trade deadline. Time's not waiting for anybody here.
The lines at practice, by the way, today, two placeholders on the top line, obviously for Matthews and Marner, but Nyes, Yarncroke, Steves, McMahon, Tavares, Nylander, Domi, Holmberg, Robertson, Lawrence, Kampf, and Dewar, and no Pacioretty. From what I've been told, by the way, on Pacioretty, doesn't sound like it's serious. I'm not sure if he's going to play this weekend, absent at practice, so we'll see and monitor that moving forward. But the back end, they had Riley OEL, McCabe, Tanev, Benoit, Timmins. Reeves is practicing, I guess, as a defenseman with Myers, and no Yanni Hakanpää today. But very curious, man. We're 2 weeks away. I can't believe it. The trade deadline is 2 weeks away here.
Seriously, it'll be I don't know, man. A lot of people throwing things around in Leafs Nation, Twitter, and these mock trades and whatnot. And honestly, almost every one of them, I'm confused on how people think that's going to work. Like, there's a salary cap that I don't think people are taking into account, and nobody wants to give us a high-end player for two shitty players. Like, it's just I don't see how Tree's going to make a splash. It's kind of my one fear is that we're going to go into the playoffs a little bit thin on depth in the bottom six and maybe missing that one pivotal defenseman in a position that is almost always integral in the playoffs. So I'm not trying to be negative. I don't get with the salary cap how we're going to make a splash this year, having what we have. But Tree has been he's been pretty unique in his ways of going about things and thinks outside of the box. And, I just sit here and I'm going to wait patiently and see if he can pull something off. But it is definitely coming down the calendar quicker than it would have seemed.
Speaking of which, the Daily Faceoff Trade Deadline Special is coming away, as mentioned, on Friday, March 7th from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Instant reaction, expert analysis, special guests, whatever happens, the DFO crew will have you covered on deadline day. March 7th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. It's time for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet at a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, all in uppercase today. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Any plays you like over the weekend? Give me Marner. I think Marner scores. I'm gonna ride Marner against Carolina tomorrow if he plays.
Oh, doggy. I like it. Yeah, take it. I am going to take a first period over 1.5 goals. I have been about 6-0 on that throughout this Four Nations tournament. Whether some guys are fired up to get back at it, some guys are a little tired, some guys are sloppy, some guys still have some Cabo legs going on. I think there could be a little bit of sloppiness, and I think there'll be some scoring in the first period.
Yeah, very curious about this one because the Canes are a very defensive-minded team. We got to look at Mikko Rantanen, who they picked up about a month ago. And by the way, it sounds like Rantanen could be back on the trade market if they can't sign this guy in the next 2 weeks. So imagine Rantanen, a guy we never suspected to get traded once, gets traded twice in like a 2-month span. You just never know, I guess.
Can you imagine Carolina giving up Natchez and what they gave and then having absolutely nothing to show for it? Oh,
Well, it's like reading between the lines, I think, they thought they had a chance to sign the guy, and it sounds
For
like,
sure.
I don't know if you're signing the guy,
yikes. You think you'd do some kind of due diligence on,
I
with
know.
the agents and
Who
where
knows? I'm
guys
just
head at.
speculating.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I've heard that before, but
Yeah.
it's a good storyline to watch, and I can't wait to see. I hope there's some fireworks. That's what I will say.
What an amazing week, Rosie. I'll remember it for a long, long period of time. Great guests, great build-up, great hockey game, and now we look forward to this stretch drive for the Maple Leafs and see if we can do it again here in June.
Yeah, it's exciting, and there's lots to look forward to. So stay tuned to here. We'll keep bringing it to you, and Leafs faithful, we will see where we are as we hit every stepping stone towards those Stanley Cup playoffs.
Back on Monday, I think they got the Bruins on Tuesday, too. That should be a really good game. But thank you once again. Our apologies when it comes to Darryl Sittler. We thank him for his time. Of course, some technical hiccups in that interview, but we appreciate him stopping by. We appreciate the support here in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit the LeafsNation.com. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk on Monday. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.